I'm not as concerned about these buildings because we haven't been doing a lot of work. It's just that I already know there's a very large bridge coming as we do this project. So any like understanding how that could pass through our budget too if I end up having to pay legacy reimbursed. So
Sure.
very good. You said all PA public system up right now. Up in the air.
That's crazy.
It is 7 p.m. on this fine Tuesday, April 1st. It's no joke. We're here for real. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Nancy Scanwalk, please get a roll call, please.
Counselor Funderburk,
He's excused.
Counselor Duffloff,
Here.
Counselor Katie McMillan,
Here.
Counselor Wheeler,
Here.
Counselor Dennis McMillan,
Here.
Counselor McLean,
Here.
Mayor Sype.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. This time, is there any questions from council on the agenda? There's some last minute changes and edits to it. Questions or comments from council? Okay, is Mrs. Funderburk on Zoom at all? We just want to double check. Okay. Can we look for a motion for approval of the agenda this time?
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you for your motion. Can we get a second motion, please?
I'll second that.
Appreciate your motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? There have it. Thank you very much. This time we have a ski manager's report and we have 5.1, the February 2025 parade entrance.
Thank you, Mayor. So don't necessarily have any items that we care to highlight, but if there's any questions on the report, we're happy to answer what they may have been for.
All right, we're going to go ahead and push on ahead to general announcements. State.
Yeah, so we have quite a few announcements today, so kind of bear with me. So we got notification. Let me pull something up just real quick. We got notification yesterday from the Institute of Museum and Library Services that the entire offices at the federal level have been placed on administrative leave as of yesterday. The city does receive grant funds from the organization in partnership with the Special Library District. And these services cover most of the services that we provide in the library, in particular our SAGE library system, which is our courier services, books between libraries, books between distributors and publishers and so on, bringing those to the library. And then also our online services like Libby. So if you get electronic books or audio books, it impacts that as well. We also do receive funds from them for summer reading grants, including access to federal and other databases. And so they are holding an emergency meeting next week on Monday at the federal level. We will be participating as much as we can through our local partnerships and avenues there. Our worst case scenario is that there may be a potential freezing or cancellation of all funds for next fiscal year 25-26 from that federal level. So wanted to make you aware as we became aware of it yesterday and just kind of making the announcement on that there. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, real quick. What would the funding require for us as a city to take that burden on for our local library?
At this point, I'm not sure. It's paid for with the tax collections from the Umatilla County Special Library District. And so I don't have the total cost that we pay for that at this point.
Talk about this again, can we get that number so we know what it would cost for us to, as an individual city, to support our own local library to its current level?
Yeah, we can have that information available to you at your budget committee meeting in 2 weeks, if not sooner than that.
Yeah,
Actually, I read an article that the state is looking for additional funding in their system. So there's services out there.
Yeah, definitely want to make sure that if we have any, that it will potentially have some library.
All right.
That's all we have.
Nope, we got a few more. So sticking with the library, some of the services we're providing, just some things that are coming up. We have some teen events here starting the next few days, our DIY beaded lizards. And then we have a pajama story time in the evening time on next Tuesday, April 8th, at 5. And then several other activities going on in the library. We encourage you to go to our website, check out announcements and the things that we have out there. We have a nice little flyer. Plus, there's all this information being posted on social media on our website as well. But we wanted to just make sure to sort of put a shout out to the library, especially now, to make sure that we're supporting as much as we can. On the line of upcoming events citywide, so wanted to be sure to also announce that next Tuesday, April 8th, and at the end of the month on April 29th, beginning at 6:30 p.m., we'll be hosting an open house and tours of the police station to answer questions for proposed measure 30-167, which is our police station replacement project. 6:30 to 7 will be that open house and tours. 7 to 7:30 will be a presentation by staff and consultants, and 7:30 to 8 will be questions and answers available. So hour and a half. If you're not able to arrive until about 7 o'clock, that's okay too, but we encourage you to come early so you can get sort of the behind the counter, behind the scenes kind of walkthrough as well. Again, 2 opportunities to do that, April 8th and April 29th. Any questions on that?
What time again?
Beginning at 6:30 p.m.
It's gonna be at the police department.
at the police department, 306th Street. Sticking with some key dates coming up this month. April's a very busy month. We have some Rock the Locks engagement meetings beginning next week on Tuesday. There'll be, a community survey that'll be out for almost 3 weeks from the 8th to the 28th, that it will be available online. You come to the city website and you'll be able to access that link and go through the questions for that. There is a closest impacted neighbors meeting next week on Thursday, April 10th. And that's the same cohort, the same neighbor group we've been working with for the last couple of years that are about 500 feet away from the stages. It is a public meeting and anyone from the public is welcome to attend. We're also trying to continue to focus with that neighborhood group. That meeting is April 10th from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. here at City Hall at Council Chambers. There will also be a second survey in addition to the community survey specifically for that group as well. So they'll have an opportunity to attend in person, and if they're not able to attend, they'll also be able to provide written feedback and comments to us as well. That survey will be available April 10th to the 24th. We'll serve light refreshments during each of those meetings. And then we have a follow-up community in-person meeting for that Rock the Locks. That's on April 16th from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. also here at Council Chambers. And then just a reminder, as we presented a couple meetings ago, that takes us through our April, and then we have follow-up work sessions on June 17th and on July 15th on this topic. So there'll be lots of opportunities for the community to continue to engage regarding Rock the Locks. Any questions on those dates?
Survey, is that going to just our general area, or is it all Umatilla County? Is it focused in on Umatilla specifically? Do we know?
Yeah, so the 500 feet, that's going to be specifically for that same cohort of neighbors there. But again, it is open to the public, but there is a question at the front, do you live within 500 feet? The other community survey is, again, it's available to any come one, come all, but we'll cross tabulate those. So are you a Umatilla resident? Do you live in the UGB? Do you live within 25 miles? That sort of thing. And so we'll be able to cross tabulate what did the residents say, what did those in the UGB say, and so on.
Any questions from council?
Which date's gonna be on the city calendar?
Yeah, so if you go to our city website now and you click on community, click on the calendar, the Rock the Locks dates and the PD dates are on the calendar. Yeah, so on the top, go up to the community tab. On the bottom of that, there's a link that says city calendar, and each of these 4 meetings are there.
Any further questions, Counselor? Thanks, Dave.
And I think I got one more, sorry. Last one, just some fun stuff with parks. We have, if you haven't signed up yet, we have, through our Civic Rec program, if you signed up to get notifications for parks events, you would have got an email, was it today, Esmeralda, or was it
Yes,
yesterday?
it was
It
today.
went out today. It looks something similar to something like this, where it's got a date and the event that's there. It didn't have the Rock the Locks event, but we'll get that updated as well for the April 10th meeting, because these are recreational programs rather than that community engagement, but we'll get that information updated as well. You should see, you'll actually receive, we'll send another follow-up email on that. Is that going out tonight? Or is it
It already.
already went out tonight, so we've already updated that to include that. So thanks, community members, for giving us some good feedback on that, so we can get that information out. So we appreciate that very much. But we have one of the things to highlight there is just the Friday before Easter. We have our Easter egg hunt over at the marina at 7 o'clock. Don't show up at 7:05 because you'll probably miss the whole event. And so it's one of those flash events. Sort of the horn goes and the chaos happens, and it's all terrific. But don't be late. Be on time. And towards the end, a lot of we have some Arbor Day stuff on our agenda tonight. We have our Arbor Day tree giveaway on April the 25th. Free trees to Umatilla residents. You just need to register online. So there's a link there to register for that. And then we have the following day, we have our community yard sale. So you can please sign up for that. If you don't want to be put on the map for the yard sale, we can set you up. And are we having the community 10 by 10? Is that right, Esmeralda? The pop-ups, or we're not doing that this year because we're under construction?
Yeah. No.
Okay. We're limited on space. So this year it's going to be just at each individual's home. So before we've opened up the Village Square Park, but it's a construction site right now, so we can't do that. All right, those are the announcements. Apologize for the lengthy announcements.
We already missed that spring cleanup thing too? Is that?
No.
Coming up next month.
Yeah,
Don't forget to fill out your SEIs.
You already forgot?
April 15th is your deadline.
now to public comment section allows for team members to share their opinions, raise concerns, and provide information directly to city council. Comments should address city-related issues and not pertain to items scheduled for public hearing on the same evening's agenda. If you do wish to speak, please complete the sign form, including the topics. Stating your name, and address, and call the vote. Speakers are allowed 5 minutes unless otherwise directed. Thank you. Please note, comments criticizing city programs and operation are permitted during this segment. However, criticism of individual city employees is not allowed during the public comment period. Concerns regarding city employees should be submitted in writing to the city's human resource manager for proper review. Thank you for your cooperation. So we have your side there.
Yes, I will be Josiah Barron, Umatilla Chamber of Commerce, 100 Pine Avenue. I'll be adding to what Dave said about April being a busy month. I'll add a few more things on your calendar. So this Thursday, April 3rd, you can, if you like a little bit of stand-up comedy, Rio Hillman from the Chicago area will be having a comedy show right here at Old Nick's Restaurant on Thursday, April 3rd. That will be at 8 p.m. It is a 21+ event, just for reference, and it's only a $5 cover charge. And Two Rivers Correctional Institution is having another one of their open house meet and greet hiring events on April 9th from 3 to 6 p.m. So if you know somebody that's looking for a job or to start their career, you could even ask Councilman Duffloff for the experiences of what you might have. But also this meet and greet will be great to go to. And then this month, we're excited to see, you've probably been watching the progress on the Chevron gas station as they've been remodeling it. And I'm excited to announce today that the grand opening and ribbon cutting for the Quick and Go Chevron, it has been scheduled and will be Friday, April 11th at 3. So if you can make it to that, there'll be also tacos from Tacos La. Oh, I grabbed the wrong. Just so you note, Nancy, the one I hand you is the wrong one, but all the other information is correct. Only it's tacos. The tacos are from Fruteria La Reina, not what it says on here. That got changed. And then our second ribbon cutting is Christensen Realty is opening a branch office here in Umatilla, also right there at the 1300 Center in Suite C. So your local realtor that you all know and love and our chamber president, Yesenia Leon Tejeda, will have an office here locally. So that ribbon cutting will be Wednesday, April 16th at 11 a.m. So go to the ribbon cutting for the Christensen Realty branch office and then come over in the evening to City Hall for the Rock the Locks Community Town Hall. And then the last thing I wanted to pass out to the council members is we finally have our Umatilla visitor guides that I kept mentioning back from Grant.
These look nice.
And the final thing I just wanted to add was also for the Umatilla visitor guides. I have dropped off a box here at City Hall and I talked with Lindy and she'll be putting those into the new resident packets as well. So 24 pages of all things you need to know about Umatilla. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we are moving into our public hearing for this evening. Could I get a motion to enter off the hearing?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, we are ready to begin the public hearing.
Can you create a second motion, please?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. I will now open the public hearing for the City of Umatilla zone change ZC1 2025. The sign-up list is available for those who wish to testify. A person must testify either orally or written in order to be considered a party to this decision and have an opportunity to appeal. Copies of the application criteria are available to the staff. The city council must base its decision on these criteria. Testimony and evidence must be directed towards these criteria or other criteria in the plan or land use regulation believed to be applicable to the decision. Failure to raise an issue with statements or evidence sufficient to afford us, other interested persons, an opportunity to respond. The issue may preclude an appeal to the land use board use of appeals on that issue. If information is presented at the hearing, we request a continuance to allow additional time to respond. You may also request the record remain open. The request must be made while the record is still open. Procedure for the hearing and the order of presentation are as follows. Staff report, the applicant may present testimony in favor of the proposal, testimony in opposition of the proposal, neutral testimony, rebuttal testimony from the applicant, and then the record is closed. Are there any conflicts of interest or personal bias to be declared by a council member? If so, please state the bias or conflict at this time. Have there been any ex parte contacts regarding upcoming matters council member needs to declare? If so, please state the ex parte contact at this time. Okay, this time I'm calling for a staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. So this is a zone change request that we have had discussions with City Council a couple of times over probably the last 6 or 7 months, and then also had multiple discussions at the planning commission level. And I'll kind of break it into the 3 different parts. So the first one is the state of Oregon has made a number of legislative changes requiring cities to comply with what the state largely refers to as middle housing. So typically that's duplexes up to quadplexes or, starting into getting into larger apartment complexes. Historically, the threshold as far as population for most of that missing middle housing requirements has been 10,000. The last legislative session, House Bill 3395, reduced the requirement for duplexes specifically down to 5,000. So since we are over 5,000 in population, we are now required by state law by July 1st of 2025 to amend our zoning code to allow duplexes in any zone where we would allow a single family home. So the first change is we are now allowing duplexes in what we were formerly calling our single family residential. We're going to update the name to just low density residential because it's no longer truly a single family residential zone. That one we don't really have a lot of choice over. That was mandated by the state legislature. We're obligated to comply with that. The second one is we have taken a pretty hard look at our R2 zone, which is our medium density residential, as well as our R3 and downtown residential zones. Trying to encourage additional multifamily or apartment type developments to be able to occur in downtown. You might remember that we've had a few conversations that our densities are a little bit low and just haven't been penciling for a lot of developers that staff has been talking to. So we are looking to decrease our residential densities in the R2 zone. Right now we would allow right now we allow about 14 units per acre. By doing this decrease, we'd allow up to about 21 units per acre. In the R3 zone and the downtown residential, so that would just be downtown. And R3, we actually only have about 10 properties in the entire city that are zoned R3, and then it's all exclusively up in McNairy. That would currently it sits at 26 units per acre, and we would be increasing that up to about 36 units per acre. So the last time we had talked to city council staff, we kind of proposed we probably wanted to be somewhere in that 35 to 37 range. That would be similar to like a Pendleton or LaGrande or some of the other cities that are in our region, or at least in Eastern Oregon, that have had a little bit more success with, denser type developments. So the staff kind of split the middle with the 36 units. Just as a note, that R3 density would also apply to any multi-story development. So in all of our current commercial zones, we allow second story and above apartments to be constructed. We use the densities of the R3 zone for those purposes. So it would also in fact increase what could be constructed above a ground floor commercial property if you were looking to do some sort of mixed development to apartment units above. I'll kind of pause with those first two, since those are the two residential developments, and see if you had any questions for me at this point.
I do have a question. So under the new Senate bill, they can essentially, if I have a lot next to my house, they can build a duplex.
Yes, based on state law, any zone where we allow single family house, we now also have to allow you.
So there's no place, there's no room to quantify this has to be in some region or area.
Okay, that, under the first iteration of that bill, they had limited it to, again, the city's over 10,000 and they only required it on corner lots. This last legislative cycle, they did away with both of those. They decreased the population threshold down to 5,000 and just made it a point that you shall allow duplexes on any lot you allow single family housing.
Any questions for council? Thank you.
So the last one has to do with uses allowed in the downtown commercial zone. So we've had a lot of folks interested in developing gas stations and some of their accessory uses. We've seen a little bit of a change, where a lot of industries are wanting to be able to co-locate with the gas station just to be able to get the additional foot traffic. Historically, going back to 2015, certainly before my time, gas stations had previously been allowed downtown, as you can tell by the new quick and go Chevron that is located in that downtown zone. Since it was existing, it was allowed to continue. But there has been a significant amount of interest. Staff had a conversation with planning commission a couple of times. Some of the folks on planning commission who have been here long enough to have been around for the 2015 discussion. A lot of that discussion centered around, there were some older gas stations that maybe weren't the most sightly or wanting to clean up the downtown area. Almost all of those have now gone away. So any new gas station looking to locate into downtown would have to meet all of our current landscaping and site design standards. It would have to be coming up to a modern city look. The other thing that I pointed out was, if we're looking to make sure that downtown is, remaining attractive to pedestrians and folks traveling through, we allow gas stations on both ends. So I don't know if we really get any benefit by not just allowing it kind of through the downtown center of town. So the planning commission ultimately agreed, and as it shows in the staff report, planning commission at their January planning commission meeting unanimously voted to recommend all three items to city council for approval. So certainly happy to answer any questions or if you have any follow-up on that piece.
Yeah, you've been there, right? Yeah. There any comments, Devin? Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, I guess that will also serve as applicant portion for the next item. Thank you. Is there any testimony in favor of the proposal? Any testimony in opposition of the proposal? Any neutral testimony? Any rebuttal testimony from the applicant? We'll talk about. Okay, at this time, we're looking to close the record and exit and to resume our regular session.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we close our public hearing and reconvene into our regular session.
Thank you. The motion could be a second. A motion, please.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Good, guys, have it. Welcome back to regular session meeting. We are now moving on to our page. New business item number 9.1, the decision on the city of Umatilla zone changes for the ZC 125. Is there any further questions, council, or any other discussion this time? Okay, there's no further discussion. Looking for a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, we approve new business item 9.1, the zone change ZC 1-25.
Thank you. Can I get a second motion, please?
Also.
Thank you again. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You guys have it. Oh, I gotta find the page. East favorite part of Arbor Day. Okay. This time we are gonna do the 2025 Arbor Day proclamation. I might need to. Bruce, would you, this time I'm actually going to allow Councilmember Klein to read the proclamation for me. So can I do that?
Yes, you can.
Okay. And,
Nation for Arbor Day. Whereas National Arbor Day has been an occasion for recognizing the value of trees and their positive benefits to human welfare since 1872, and whereas the Arbor Day holiday was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees are a significant resource at providing benefits in terms of stormwater reduction, moderating temperatures, improved air quality, increased real estate values, energy savings, enhanced economic vitality of business areas, wildlife habitat, and the attractiveness of our community. And whereas trees wherever they are planted are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, and whereas the city of Umatilla, Oregon is known as Tree City USA, and whereas programs like Tree City USA and the Arbor Day holiday are opportunities for us to plant and maintain trees for the future. And we urge all of our citizens to plant and protect their community's trees. Now therefore,
Mayor Stein.
by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Umatilla, do hereby proclaim Friday, April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in the city of Umatilla, Oregon, and urge all citizens to support efforts to care for and maintain trees in our community. Adopted by the city council this first day of April 2025.
Thank you. Okay, this time, council, we're looking for a motion. I can sign this document.
Make a motion, you can sign that.
Make a motion that I sign the proclamation for Arbor Day.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, we approve new business item 9.2, the 2025 Arbor Day proclamation, and give you authorization to sign it.
Thank you. I'm gonna second that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You guys have it, and Nancy, that's one less paper for you to have to sign. All right. Now on to 9.3 resolution 29/2025, the general fee resolution.
Yeah, thank you. So every year staff looks at our fee resolution in conjunction with budget preparation. And makes recommended changes for council to consider. Some of these we discussed throughout the budget workshop process. Changes to the rate study include adding the new e-bike and paddleboard and kayak rentals into the fee schedule. Also, we added a new section for the community center now that we're providing that to the public. We did take a look, the public works hourly rates, specifically in the water, sewer and street section, haven't been updated in several years as wages have gone up. So we did increase that average rate to $45 an hour. And then looked at our water, sewer, and garbage rates. Further on in the packet, you can find my page here on page 73. We did compile in preparation for our recommendation a comparison of Umachilla's rates to a variety of surrounding cities. We looked at 9 different cities, and at the November snapshot that we prepared this, we were ranked 5th out of 9 as far as lowest cost for water, 6th for sewer, and then 7 for garbage. We did note the lowest cost as far as Boardman, they have not raised their rates since 2019, and they did acknowledge that they would be recommending a pretty substantial increase this year. And then we used this data because we are recommending the 6% for water and sewer, but we are not sure what all of our other neighbors will be doing.
I have a question with these updates. Where does the rankings shift, especially towards the lowest ranking overall versus the total cost? Where would we end up?
We don't know because I don't know what all of the neighbors are recommending for their increases for next year. So I would have to come back with that analysis.
Using the current data we have now,
The current's in there.
it's the current without.
Like if we change.
Because they changed it tomorrow and no one else, everyone stays static.
Well, we're at 136.67 right now. We would go to 146.30, which I believe is 8. But our partners, I mean, we've seen in the papers Pendleton's requesting increases, and I'm pretty sure most cities will follow suit with some sort of adjustment.
They already did theirs.
That was always good. That's all I was. See where we're at.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mayor. I kind of get your sentiment in the fact that we're impacting quite a few citizens in our community that's quite a bit more for them. Especially those that are on fixed income, but I also get it. I mean, it is $10 more a month. And those people are only making, $1,200, $1,600 a month. Sometimes that's a lot of money. So
We do have hardship rates for and senior citizen rates that would still apply as well.
100%. I just want to make sure that they get that information that we want to do.
And then we also have a quick question as well. Sorry, no, you're good. I had it. It was gone. No, I think it was a question about hardship. Actually, so.
Are these rates just to keep us right at the break-even point?
Yeah, so we had a rate study that was done by FCS Group, and it looked at our operational expenses. It also looked at our future capital needs and projected what we would need and where our rates would need to be able to sustain the debt levels that we're going to look at for our future capital projects, while also be able to transfer money into reserve to keep our reserve balances adequate. So we're following the recommendations of the study.
Did that study account for inflation? Because I know we had a 2% COLA increase.
Yeah, it did account for inflation. The last 2 years, we actually recommended 7% instead of 6% because we were seeing higher numbers. Our study actually only assumed a 3% inflation, which is about what we saw this year. And that's why we didn't, again, request that 7% higher rate this year.
Also, if I want to build a fence in my, in St. here, what would that cost me? Would that be the $500?
Go through Brandon's. I gotta find it.
I just want to make sure that we're applicable to what everybody else is kind of doing.
Are you looking to build a fence in Holston?
In the community, yeah. I mean,
We don't have a fence permit.
it's one of the smaller fences.
So,
We did away with that.
so if for residential, if you're 6 feet or under, it's an outright permitted use, you don't need a permit. So there's no fee associated with that. So the only cost then would be if you're gonna try to do something outside the outright permitted use. And so there's an application for that.
If you're over 6 feet, that gets you in the structural range, so then you're applying for a building permit, and we apply the building permit fees, at that point, which
Yeah,
is
if
not
I wanted-
$500.
We did used to have a small fence permit fee, but we did away with that in a previous revision of the fee
I
schedule.
was just looking at that, that's exactly.
Yeah.
The other part is, I wanna build an awning on my house, what would that cost me? Is that a little different because it's structural range?
So the building fees are in a separate fee resolution that are calculated based on the value of whatever you're adding on. The more value you're adding, the higher your permit fees are gonna be, but there are kind of baseline rates just depending on the value of whatever you're adding on.
I just wanted to make sure, I didn't see it in yours, I didn't know if it was a different. Okay, perfect, thank you, I'm sorry.
Thank you for the question. Well, it's a great question. There isn't all of that. Good question.
That's like, those are the two most common questions. I want to build an awning, I want to build a deck, I want to build a fence. Like, those are the three things.
Those are the questions that I get from you.
Yeah.
Good answer. As much as I can.
I didn't hear the deck answer.
Yeah.
If you're less than 200 square feet. It's an outright use, but anyway.
Thank you.
Aaron's building a fence and an awning in his house. Questions?
That's right.
No deck.
No deck.
On square, 200 square.
Oh.
All right, any other further council or questions from council on this?
Additional comment. I was gonna say, I mean, I have watched and, you know, these are really difficult decisions and, you know, I'm glad that you two asked the question about, you know, hardship stuff, you know, took those off my plate, but I did want to say I have been able to watch this body, you know, tormented over larger than 6% increases that happen when, you know, when you hold the line and you think you're doing everybody a favor by not, you know, continually doing small increases. It just doesn't ever work out, right? And as heartbreaking as a 6% increase is, if it just, you know, is something that is keeping us even, as difficult as it is, it's the right decision.
Well, you're exactly right. We had that discussion a few years ago. We didn't raise something for a significant amount of time, and then all of a sudden we're like, whoa, we have to do something. And of course, you don't want to pile on a 35% increase, but that's what it called for to be the norm. You know, it's easier to do these nominal little increases as we go.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what Boardman's numbers look like, because it's gonna be a significant increase for the back up to 100 rates. Very cheap, but super much longer. Okay, that time's any further comments. Okay, at this time we're looking for.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve new business item 9.3, resolution 29-2025.
I did have one question. I think we're gonna go right. I just read it. I apologize. I'll stack that, remove that motion. 12% increase from sanitary disposal. That seems really high. And we talked to them, we were in negotiations. Because we talked to them, I thought it was gonna be a
We
lot.
did, so this rate was actually pre-negotiated and agreed to last year, so they originally wanted like 35% last year. And to my knowledge, we were the only city to get them to agree to a phased-in approach over 2 years. And so year 2 for us was supposed to be 10.5% plus CPI, which is how we got to the 12.12.
I was curious, because I knew that. It would be huge. So,
Yeah, we did a chunk last year and this would be the remainder, and then they told us next year will only be CPI,
only 2% actually.
whatever CPI is,
Yeah.
yep.
That's still. All right, that was my further question. No more. So I'm looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, we approve new business item 9.3, resolution 29-2025.
Thank you for your motion. Can we second to motion, please?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you kindly, the ayes have it. Moving on now to Resolution number, sorry, 9.4, resolution number 30, 2025, a resolution adopting a compensation plan for fiscal year 2025-26, and repealing resolution number 22, 2025.
All right, I'll take this one too. So this was also discussed at your last budget workshop. This resolution would not take effect until July 1st to coincide with the new budget. Every year we look at several different numbers when we are considering cost of living adjustments. We do look at the consumer price index or CPI, which was 3% as of January. We look at annual inflation rate, which was 2.9%, and then also what the Social Security cost of living adjustment was, which was 2.5% for 2025. I did mention in the budget workshop that our two most recent collective bargaining agreements are now all pointing at the CPI as the index that we're using for each year. So the recommended 3% COLA is consistent with those bargaining agreements.
Any questions?
No, I need to make a public record that I have a conflict of interest because my son's on the police department. So because of the money that will be 3% going to them, as a precaution, I will preclude myself from voting.
This wage scale doesn't cover you're the police officers, so.
I'm covering this. Put it out there.
Yeah.
Say
the rec-
potential.
the
Yeah,
rec is-
potential.
So.
Well,
He has an
Hold on,
actual-
his is an actual.
yours would be actual.
You state your name.
I just with Dylan have a conflict because my son works part-time. So it's
Actual.
Actual conflict.
Right.
So,
And
oh, no, I'm staying from voting.
I'm actually a potential,
Okay.
right?
I don't think you have
I don't
one,
think so.
counselor, because the police bargaining comes up on its own and it's its own wage scale.
Yeah.
And so because that's what, all of those wages are out of this, I don't believe that it would exist.
So this time we're looking for that clarified. Is there any further questions or comments to declare? Looking for a motion at this time.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve resolution, but item number 9.4, make a motion to approve resolution number 30-2025, a resolution adopting compensation plan for fiscal year 2025-2026.
And then add repeal.
And repealing resolution 22-2024.
Thank you. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All opposed? Any abstain? Yes, thank you. Moving on to 9.5, adjusting the regular meeting start time to 6 p.m. on April 15th, 2025 to accommodate budget committee meeting at 6:15.
And we had a long night at our last budget meeting, so at the request of several committee members, we would like to push that meeting up earlier.
I think 6:15 is a great start time. Any questions from council? Any concerns? Okay, we're looking for a motion to present at this time.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion that we adjust the regular meeting start time to 6 p.m. on April 15th to accommodate the budget committee meeting at 6:15.
Thank you for your motion. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Can you guys cap that at 7 o'clock?
And what we'll just do is we'll cut out all of the funding for the public works.
Okay.
That, that would really slow down the meeting.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah.
It would. I'm gonna put your phone number in the wintertime. It's not.
At this time, we move on to our downtown revitalization grant, agenda item 9.6.
Hi, council members.
So I'm here to present the two downtown revitalization grants. The first one is HTM Group. It's a lending business. It's located right across from Ray's. They're gonna be doing some improvements, which is gonna be new siding, paint, new windows and signage. The total cost for this project is $38,401. So the CDD has reviewed their application and we would like to award the maximum amount, which is $26,500. The second one is Mercado La Mixteca LLC, which is the old Novedades Cruz. They're coming back with the new ownership. They're gonna be doing improvements, which is new sign, paint, new roof. The total cost for this project is $19,000. And we would like to award $14,375.25. So if you guys have any questions.
No, I think it's very exciting and congratulations to those businesses from coming to Taylor for working. Do you have any questions? That's great. Okay, we're looking for a motion at this time.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the downtown revitalization grants as presented.
Thank you for your motion. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I would second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, you guys have it?
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you. Moving on to 9.7, resolution number 31, 2025. Resolution, the city council and the city of Municipal authorizing the submittal of a grant application to the Housing Infrastructure Support Fund and ratifying the signature of the mayor effective retroactively to March 31st, 2025. Any questions on this one, council? Sorry.
Statement of likeness, so it's, yeah. So this is a project that, we discussed with the city council a couple of times about potentially doing some land swaps down along H streets just to the east of the school district. So this funding source would allow us to be able to obtain up to $100,000 in design dollars. So this would allow us to offset a significant chunk of the estimated $175,000 to completely redesign H street, curb gutter, sidewalk lights, we'll be able to bring that street up to a city standard. Because of the incredibly tight timeline to get that turned around and get the application in time, we did have Mr. Mayor sign the application yesterday. If council does not approve the resolution, we will let them know we will withdraw, but just allowed us to get it submitted yesterday before we get this to you this evening. Any other questions, council? Okay, looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, we approve new business item 9.7, resolution number 31-2025.
Thank you. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, you guys have it. That concludes the business for tonight. Looking for a second public comment, Sergeant Dyke, is there anything back there to us? Any takers? Okay, moving on. Moving on to a discussion item this evening, we have a 11.1 to consider the creation of a public-private partnership with digital infrastructure broadband with the city of Hermiston. This is a discussion only.
Thank you. So with me here tonight is Nate Rivera from City of Hermiston. We have a presentation for you. I'll do a quick introduction to that before he starts. So in your adopted council goals, we have a couple different goals in there regarding investing in and looking at options available for expanding broadband capacity throughout the city. We brought you a new franchise agreement last year that of an organization that's looking to potentially invest in and bring broadband to residential. We have other existing franchisees that we partner with as well. But we're looking at opportunities where we might be able to, in this case, this is a public-private partnership opportunity where Hermiston, we've been communicating with Hermiston basically since that time you adopted your goals 2 years ago, but in particularly more of the last 18 months and especially in the last 6 months. And there's some potential opportunity here. We wanted to present that to you for further discussion. So there you go.
And I think it's probably gonna be easier to just do the PDF.
Okay,
uh,
no problem. We can do that up. Give just a second.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Dave Rivera. I'm the General Manager of Hermiston Energy Services. My daytime job managed the city of Hermiston's electric utility. I worked there for 10 years as their general manager. Prior to that, I was 10 years sharing this whole electric development, community education, other duties as assigned. This project here kind of falls in that other duties as assigned. It's all small cities kind of take roles to pitch in. And so tonight I'm going to talk to you, go ahead, next page. Talk to you about what the city of Hermiston has been doing as far as over approximately the last 5 years. Talk about some of the efforts that we've undertaken, some of the regional efforts, not only just within the city of Hermiston, but also the region, and then talk about an opportunity potentially to partner the two cities together. Next page. So since 2020, City of Hermiston staff has been researching fiber broadband infrastructure options due to connectivities within the city of Hermiston. So currently, few of the City of Hermiston facilities are served. So you can see on the map, those are all the City of Hermiston facilities that we have. So we went out and mapped them and then identified the facilities that actually have service to them or that were underserved. Right now, we have multiple providers over various types of infrastructure. The reliability of it has been a challenge for it. Next page.
Nate, can you speak into the mic, please?
Can I take it out?
Yes. Thank you.
Is this better? Okay. So even before the pandemic, we knew connectivity within the city of Hermiston, and the region was an issue. For staff collaboration, deployment of technology with smart meters, AMR technology, SCADA, connections with our lift stations, water pumps, sewer pump stations, everything like that, communicating with those. We have a significant truck roll. Obviously, those facilities need to be monitored 24/7, 365. And so with technology, broadband technology, we have the potential to not have as many truck rolls, not have the overtime pay, not have the ability for instant notifications, not have to actually roll out to the location to see, as well as increasing the security camera presence. So not only for our police departments, but also for our city departments to be able to see vandalism, anybody messing or tampering. So we knew that.
Nate, I'm gonna interrupt you just a little closer. Sorry. Thank you. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, really get it up in there. So once the pandemic hit, we all kind of saw the writing on the wall with the challenges, not only within the cities, but within our communities, and not only within the communities, within the cities. So this issue has created an opportunity for the city of Hermiston, and that's the direction the city of Hermiston is going, to develop and deploy a more comprehensive solution for broadband. So over the last 10 years, the city of Hermiston has had many conversations with many different providers. Unfortunately, a lot of those conversations bear little fruit. We would have often many providers. We had one recently, 2.5 years come in and talk to us about how they're going to connect our whole city. They were going to come and roll out and deploy and be a solution. They wanted to partner with the city and even do a co-location agreement. Like many other providers, those conversations lagged on, and still today we haven't seen any traction or movement from it. And that was a promise that was made that would happen within the next 6 months. And 3 years later, we're still in the same. And so unfortunately, I think we share that struggle with providers and promises, and our community is still lagging behind some. So the city of Hermiston, over this last 5 years, we've looked at doing this city project. We looked at expanding not only within the city of Hermiston, but also looking at West Umatilla County. So we had meetings with the county, with the 4 West Side cities about a potential solution there. If we could leverage all of our resources to push out potentially the school district boundaries within West Side Umatilla County. And there was a lot of interest, but little traction. Again, it's a significant lift. It's a significant effort to coordinate multiple entities to try to do it. Cost was a significant barrier. It really would have been contingent upon federal funding, BEAD funding, and state broadband funding. And as anybody who's gone through that process, the rules are kind of being written as they go, and they continue to be that way. A lot of confusion in the applications and the process. And so we see that as a potential long-term goal for our region. But the city of Hermiston got to the point that we could keep talking about this for another 10 years, or we could look at a scalable model that would make sense that we potentially could do without any federal funding. And so that's kind of the discussion we've had multiple conversations with City Manager Stockdale. Out of all the partners, he was the one who was most proactive, not only with information, but direction, support. And so the city of Hermiston really felt like there was potential here for the two cities to work together, to come together and have a common goal met, a common need. So next page. So we worked, since 2020, we partnered with SNG, Strategic Network Group, to assist in this planning process. So the city of Hermiston has been working behind the scenes, doing a lot of research and getting an understanding of what makes the most sense for the city and the region. So they worked with us to create a digital infrastructure roadmap, and that's what we've been planning to make long-term decisions and long-term successful decisions, to go out and actually go and get real-time speed, real-time information, real-time data from residents in the city of Hermiston. And we also contacted all the local business leaders, key anchor tenants, community institutions. And with that process, you can go 2 pages there. So SNG, a little bit of background, they did the state of Oregon's broadband assessment and best practices study. That's how we found them, but now they're working with a few counties within the state of Oregon to deploy an open access network program. And so they've been a great partner who's been the financial expertise and then bringing in additional technical partners to help answer some of these questions. So when we went out and did a survey with our community and we talked to the school districts, the large businesses, the anchor tenants, the community asset groups, we really wanted to understand what the community needed. And so with that process, we identified 5 goals within the city of Hermiston. I think they translate really well with the city of Umatilla. The top one is really that new opportunity for economic growth and work. The second one was a robust and competitive broadband. Within the city of Hermiston, not every resident in the city of Hermiston is currently served, and there's several areas within the city that only has one provider. But if you look on the FCC broadband page and you pull up the city of Hermiston, it says it's fully covered with 5 providers. Well, that's just not accurate. And so we knew competitive was a big part of this process, is to create a better competitive environment, not only for quality of service, but also for quality and cost. The more competition you have, you tend to get better customer service, you tend to get better reliable service, and the cost tends to be a fair market. The third was online education and training opportunities. You know, for the city ourselves, there's a lot of training that we have to send people across the state, overnight hotel rooms, things like that, where with broadband and the ability to do more in-person training, which is starting to happen, but could do more. That was the big thing for us, for the city, for training, but the educational opportunities, not only our school districts, but we found, you know, a lot of our students within the city of Hermiston School District were going home and had no access to the internet. Or the internet they had was very unreliable or couldn't handle the speeds of trying to log into classrooms. And when you have multiple students trying to log into multiple classrooms with a parent who's at a stay-at-home doing a small business, it makes that challenge much more. And then remote integrated to health services. We're having an aging community, and the ability for them to be mobile, to get out to doctor's appointments, the ability to do more telehealth, partnering with the local doctor's offices, the local hospital, not having to drive to Portland or the Tri-Cities or Seattle for appointments, to be able to do more telehealth, we feel is a great benefit. So that's one of our top 5 goals. Next page, we went through the needs and issues of our community and that local workforce skills development, community college education, trade and technical schools, the ability to do a lot more education and workforce development, retaining and attracting business. We all focus on that in our economic development efforts. Broadband has the ability to do that. The ability for good paying job opportunities, stimulating local business growth and innovation. And one of the things we talked about with the city of Hermiston was we're recruiting a lot of high paying jobs here for one spouse, but the second spouse comes in and the ability for them to telework and have access to high reliable broadband service to telework, we felt was a big opportunity for retention, and not only the people who go to work every day, but for spouses and kids and people like that to be able to have those opportunities. Next page. So like I said earlier, this is a map of the city of Hermiston from the FCC. This is how the FCC views the city of Hermiston. Go ahead and go to the next page. But we actually did a deeper dive of the city of Hermiston. And on there you can see, so you're looking at the red, those are the areas of highest needs within our community. So the previous page says we're completely covered. Every resident has access and multiple providers. But when we went in and actually did real-time data, we were able to have people log in. We were able to test their speed. We were able to get a survey from our community about the options, providers, speed in real time, and we were identifying significant shortages with them. Next page. Once we did that, we also did the speeds, the real-time speeds, and we found almost a third of our households and businesses do not meet the minimum requirement for high-speed internet, which is 25.3. And then next page. Certainly, you bet, Mr. Mayor.
So I'm curious too, like, I'm looking at your third, you used e-checkup, is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
You know, I know, like, I'm curious, like, what was the process for using that, and like, how did you get the data? I mean, are these all from people you surveyed, only from surveys, or are these from people who just did a speed check, like when they do at home, and you're collecting that data elsewhere?
Yeah, no, excellent question. So part of our partnership with SMG was a process to reach out and do a community survey. So we advertised a community survey about broadband in the region. We also sent that information to account holders within the city of Hermiston. They were able to go onto an account that was created. Through that account, they would go through a survey of questions, and one part of that process was them to test the internet speed of their actual location of their provider in real time. And then once we got all the data back, we were able to filter it out, actually comparing it to city addresses. And so from that survey process of going out and getting real-time data, real-time feedback, we also did that with the key account holders in the city, anchor institutions, local businesses, both small and large, school districts, county, people like that. So it was all through a closed survey process where we were able to actually get real data.
And so looking at your, I'm assuming the bubbles on this, next to the map, are those the respondents' locations? Approximately, can you go up one more slide?
Correct, yeah, those were the areas of highest need.
Okay, and so I'm curious, like, looking at that, some of the red areas, I mean, they weren't even surveyed. So I'm curious, like, is it potentially more than 1/3 of your communities actually struggling? This is just respondents, correct?
Correct, yeah. Okay. Yeah, potentially, yes. Excellent question, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I just wanted to know,
Yeah.
I'm really curious on the data, because that is super interesting. I was looking at that last night, that's wild.
Yeah, and the next page also is really fascinating because we actually went in, were able to map low income areas of our city, include seniors, school age children, and home business and tele. And we're able to find the gaps within our community. So looking at going out and getting access to any federal funds during the competitive process, we didn't stand a chance for that. But that doesn't mean that our communities still don't have a significant need with them. So we explored many different types of networks. There's many different opportunities that a city can undertake. Through this process, we found that the one that made the most sense and had the most potential is called an open access network. So what an open access network is, the city owns the infrastructure and the city provides that in an at-cost model, the same way we do with our other city services. We're not in the business to make a profit, we're in the business to provide a service at cost for the benefit of our communities and our customers or our citizens. So this is very similar, we like to compare it to roads. It's very similar to the concept of a road. The city comes in and builds a road, but multiple providers use that road. So FedEx, UPS, United Postal Service, all use that same road to come to the same house. You know, business trucks, Amazon, Walmart deliveries, local small business, Instacart, any of those businesses, all use city-owned roads to deliver a product and service. The same way a customer or a citizen uses that same road to go out into our communities and access business resources, schools like that. So the concept of this open access network is the city owns the infrastructure, which is essentially the road. Now, on that road, internet service providers, which is for-profit businesses. So there's the not-for-profit, that's the city side. The for-profit entities can come and use those same roads and provide a service to a customer. So we don't provide the actual internet service to a customer. We provide the broadband connection for a third-party internet provider to come and provide service. And that's where we feel the competition comes in. So if we create a system where multiple providers can come in and offer services, and not only one increases potential availability for speed, but also keeps it at a competitive price that the market defines. Now, it could be a for-profit entity, a non-for-profit entity. It could be a company like Mr. Fennell's here, Joe's. Blue Mountain Network could subscribe to this network and use our infrastructure. And instead of serving part of the city of Umatilla, serve the whole city of Umatilla through this portal and through this service where he could access everybody. The same with the charter, the same with other providers who are not necessarily within the community.
So I want to put a clarification, to kind of continue with your roads analogy.
Yeah.
You're saying like Blue Mountain Networks would be the driveway, basically, the roads, what's connecting your house to the roadway. Because you're saying private businesses would be building the driveways, more or less.
We would be building the driveway, we would be the infrastructure into the house, but you're using our infrastructure to access Blue Mountain Networks broadband. So you would use them, through the portal, you would use them as your broadband provider. So you would get to the World Wide Web using Blue Mountain Networks or another third-party entity. But it's not only that. Let's say you're an elderly person that doesn't want an internet and doesn't need access to the World Wide Web, but would want to do telehealth. Well, we have the ability to partner with local hospitals and clinics to use that same road to offer telehealth without an internet package, to have them part of it. We also have the ability to partner with the school district who could provide this service over our infrastructure, tying into their services to provide school resources. So not only does it offer you the ability to go in and get access to the World Wide Web via an ISP provider, but other anchor tenants could use this infrastructure as well. You know, it doesn't just have to be to the World Wide Web. Anchor institutions and the cities as well, we would be able to connect to every resident and business anchor institution in the community through this network without having an ISP, because they would all be tied into a central road network. But there would also be that opportunity for private entities to use that road network to offer opportunities to the city. So I have that. So workforce development training, small business development, city services, regional services, county services, state services, all could use the road system for access to the internet.
Sure, I understand this correctly. You're basically the hardware, they're gonna do the software.
Close,
Streaming.
yeah.
I was just, in my mind, I'm going, okay, well, how can a municipality compete with this? And it makes sense now that you guys are basically the conduit, the wire, all of that stuff. And then they're the company that comes in and actually grants you the access to whatever ABC.
Yeah, we go to the next slide. I think that helps it. It's a visual.
That's a great concept.
You're the road and they're the vehicle taking back for it.
Exactly. And the customer also has the ability to drive on the road. Next one down. Yeah. So this is the model that we're talking about. The orange, which is the foundation of it. That's the digital infrastructure layer. That's owned by the city. We partner, which is the blue level, and we manage an entity that builds and maintains and manages that electronics layer of the process. The city doesn't do that. The city's responsible for the infrastructure, the wires, the connections. We partner with the network provider who creates all the networks, all the connections, designs the systems for the top layer, which is that service layer, to interact. So it's a 3-layered system. The service layer is anyone can participate and access it and participate like an ISP, a hospital, a school district, an anchor tenant, a business who want to offer services. The active layer is what we control. This is the day-to-day operations of the system to make sure everybody who has a connection is working properly. Works with the service layer to ensure that people paying for service, their service works properly on their system. And then the digital infrastructure layer, that's what we pay for and maintain the cities. Does that make sense? So the next page, Dave. So there's pros and cons of going down this route. And this is something that the city has talked about often. You know, the pros of ownership, a pro is if we don't go down this path, we don't have to deal with it. You know, we let the free market and the private entities solve broadband issues within our community. Unfortunately, I think we've seen not every area within our cities are getting connected, and we've left it to the free market to decide. And the free market has found a way to serve the profitable areas because they represent a business, and the areas that do not create a profit or would take a longer term to pay off the infrastructure investments that make a profit, they haven't invested in. They haven't invested in Hermiston. And I think we've identified areas in Umatilla that we know they haven't invested in either, because there's not a break-even profit model for that system to be successful. But when we take out the profit model and create a break-even model, it gets a little more competitive. And so it makes it a little more appealing for us to pursue that. The pro of it, if we don't do it, we don't have to be involved. The con is we have no guarantee that all our premises will be served. We're seeing that now. We have no control over a timeline for build out. City Manager Stockdale and I have both had many conversations with providers saying we were coming in the spring, we were coming in the fall, we're coming in next year in the spring, next year in the fall. And we still see a lag in that. There are providers working and building out our areas, but we still see significant gaps. And that's why we're involved. No recourse for service levels or quality. You know, somebody has an issue with their broadband, they come to the city and we have no recourse to say or do anything about the level of service that they provide. When it's a city service and somebody has an issue, I'm guessing that they come to you and have a discussion and say, we have an issue with customer service with the city service, and you're responsible for it. The same way the city of Hermiston City Council is responsible for it. So that there's a direct tie within the community to get customer services addressed. And so we see that as the benefit. Some of the positives for us owning the digital infrastructure, you know, we have sovereignty over it. We control the timelines of the build out. We set the priorities. We look at the community and say, these are the areas we need to start first. We ensure all premises are connected. You know, for this process to work, everybody in our city needs to be connected. That's the real value of creating value of digital infrastructure and digital broadband, is ensuring every citizen in the community is equal and they all have equal access to digital infrastructure, because realistically, it's almost becoming a required service to have a broadband connection or connectivity within your home or business. Like I said, the incentivizing customer service, and then potential revenue streams from the digital infrastructure. So we're setting this model at cost. The more subscribers and the more people who participate in it, the ability for us to expand and work out. We're looking at a model that's going to break even to connect all our city, but there's areas just on the outlying areas of the city. You know, there's an area between the city of Hermiston and the city of Umatilla
that there's real potential in. And then I know Weston County with the city of Echo and the city of Stanfield potentially could be partners in the future. But we've identified this as we have to start small enough where we can be successful. We don't want to bite off more than we can chew, and we don't want to have too big of a room making decisions. We want to be efficient, but still have the best data to make those decisions. So historically, broadband availability, the focus is, well, if I just had it, if I just had high-speed internet, I would use it. With this model, we're looking at an education piece. So it's not only, once we get everybody connected, we get them adopted, and then we start teaching them how to use it. We have a center of education with this process that teaches the elderly how they can participate in. Teaches small businesses similar to your small business incubator that you're developing. To teach a small business class of how to maximize the use of this benefit. Once the community starts utilizing the full ability of broadband infrastructure, that's where the community benefits really come in. That's where the goals and needs start being met. So the next steps for the city of Hermiston is we're prepared to go out for an RFP for a network operator to build, design, operate, and maintain this digital infrastructure utility that I'm talking to you about. We're partnering with SNG again on this process. They're going to do the mapping and they're going to manage the process selection for this operation. Like I said earlier, City Manager Stockdale has participated with the city of Hermiston in these discussions for a little while now. We feel there's benefit for both cities to participate in this effort together, to partner in this effort. The increased number, bringing in your residents, businesses, and anchor institutions help leverage those initial investments. So the more people we can bring in, that's manageable, the better, the further our dollars will take us in this effort. And we feel you guys are as motivated as we are to get this need met within the community. So we're talking about this next step of doing this partnership. If you guys kind of give the go ahead or based on the discussion, I don't know what process you're going to take. But we'll go out in partnership to do this RFP process together. And then in that process, we would prepare a business and economic plan, a governance model, funding models, and then pursue funding. So, we need to have the good information and solid information that you guys can take action on before we make some of these decisions. But if we are going to partner, there's several layers in there that have to be decided during that process. And once we have the data, once we have the cost, once we fully understand it, we can be able to do a lot more with understanding what cost share looks like, subscriber rates, things like that. And I want to be really clear. Us going out for an RFP and us partnering in this process isn't a commitment to build it. We need the information to make the decision if we're going to build it. And without this process, we can't give you guys the right information to make those solid choices. Because there's risk. There's risk with anything like this that you undertake. With historic city services like Hermiston Energy Services, I have a defined service territory. You live within my service territory, you get service from me. This isn't that process. It's not like other people can come in and provide water services or sewer services or garbage services. This is a competitive environment where we're providing the infrastructure to their house, but there's a process of convincing them to participate in it because there's value in it. There's risks as cities are both involved. And so we're going through this process to get the best information available so you can understand the decisions that we're asking you to make. With that is how we're going to make decisions as groups. If it's just the city of Umatilla, you guys make the decision. But with the partnership between the two, there's going to have to be a process in place where decisions are made and how they're made, and what that looks like. It's a lot better to have a strong agreement up front than start the process and try to decide how we're going to make decisions. And so that's why we're going to go through that process in parallel of the RFP process. So to give you an idea on that next page, we went and we looked at what it would take to connect all of the city of Hermiston. It's about 16 million. Now, this is just connecting with the infrastructure. This isn't the operations. This isn't the maintenance, this isn't the staff involved, this isn't the education piece. This is just the infrastructure piece. And we also did that for the city of Umatilla. So your part was a little over 6 million for the infrastructure part. Ours was 16 million. So a little over $22 million is what we're estimating. This RFP process will tell you how good we are at estimating. It could come in higher than that, it could come in lower than that. But with that, I would be happy to take any questions on the concept or ideas or process or anything I can help.
I think this is great, especially as we move forward with AI, what that's gonna look like in a few years, you know, where everything's gonna go to that. Especially when you start talking about education, first responders, municipalities, connectivity, all of that stuff. And you're actually going to save money in the long run. And with large customers, owning a business and at 10 o'clock at night, your internet goes down and you have no POS system, you have nothing, and you're hammered. So it's really difficult. So I think this is great. And as you said, with seniors being able to have some kind of a plan or program to connect with that. What does that look like for students, you know, libraries, you know, all kinds of programs available. No, I think this is fantastic. And we can actually get it to where it's gonna be better for the cities because there's technology out there that we can run our systems so much more effectively if we have internet connectivity. So I'm excited about this.
Yeah, I completely agree with this. I think it's one of those situations where we have lots of private companies come in and say, hey, we're gonna promise the world exactly what we say, hey, they follow. So we get to, there's people we're switching to, satellite instead of utilizing the speeds that are in the hearing. They're just unacceptable, they're too slow, and people are looking elsewhere. And I think, it's one of those considerations where when you look at $6 million for connecting all of the city utility, go, wow, that's a ton of money. At the same time, if we do it in phases, and, these neighborhoods or certain streets, and we do it slow, and we take our time, and we do it the right way, you can break it up over a 15-year time span where we're writing services to the first areas first and move forward. But definitely think partnership with the harvest. If this is something we're considering looking at.
And I think there's an important piece here that I want to make really clear. We do have local providers and we have local presence from providers. And those providers have been, there's a few of them that have been long-term community partners. And so how do we create a system that can help them as well? And the process isn't that they don't want to be a community partner, it's just they can't get to all the areas within our city and still work within their business model. So it's not a want, it's the ability. So this system would allow for-profit entities, community partners, people who have invested for years in our city, to take that layer of that initial investment of the infrastructure that limits in a cost basis for profitability to participate in the system and not just access certain portions of the city of Umatilla. Then this gives them access to the full city of Umatilla products. So this isn't a private entity, this is a public-private partnership, and we're going to be looking for partners. And so I want to make sure that that's a clear process. Us going down this is the roads piece. We still need the private piece to be successful, and we want community partners who want to invest in our communities to do that.
I think it's great. Exactly. And I think that's, ensuring that we're building roads and we're allowing it to the market is for you.
Yeah, I like it. I love it. We have pretty terrible internet up there on South Hill too. I think it's kind of the going trend in Umatilla. It's just, there's a couple places that have decent internet, but up there, and I know firsthand it's terrible. What's the timeline to phase in like an entire city?
Well, that's an excellent question. So it really is starting to tie in with federal funding and the rollout of federal funding. If we can get in and start this process with the RFP process, get a network provider selected, do the engineering and design, it can be relatively quick within, I would say, 6 to 12 months. For the first 6 months is gonna probably be this RFP process, then there's the staging process. But procurement is gonna be a challenge. You know, if the further we lag and everybody's trying to access products, procurement of what we need is gonna be a big challenge. So the quicker we can move on this, the more efficient we can be. Getting in front of some of those big projects, I think gives us the potential to be successful. But before we talk about that, we want to make sure it's a good business decision for the city. We get you good information to make good decisions. Because I don't want to go out and have the community, oh, we're all of a sudden going to build it. No, we're going to go out and get the best information available to make a decision. And if that comes back, that it makes sense for our communities and we can afford to do it without significant subsidization, with a cost break-even model, then we're going to recommend that we do this. If we come back and it's not good, we're not going to recommend. You know, we want to come back to you with the best information to make the best decisions, and that's what we need this process.
Okay. Another question. So are you guys blazing a new path? Is this something that we've seen in other communities? That's the other piece.
Yeah, no, this, so open access models, this model has been done across the country, other countries. Probably the most famous model is Ammend, Idaho. They do it a little bit different. They do it with LIDs. New subdivisions, they create an LID and provide this service. So we've met with the city of Ammend, met with their network provider, we've met with all the process, how it works, how they went through the process. But the other part of it is hiring good contractors and a good network operator. And the process of this RFP is combining the network operator with the construction. Because when you have somebody design a system and you have another entity build a system, you know, you're always going to have conflict. But when you say we're going to create a 15-year model for you to operate a system that you not only designed, but you built, then it creates a lot of incentive to get it right. Because not only are they going to build it, they're going to have to maintain it and operate it for a long-term contract. And so we feel like that gives us the best chance to be successful.
I have a question. You had mentioned that there was telehealth to like seniors who, without having to have internet, they can do that. Is that something that they can do for students? Like, you know, when we had COVID, they did a great job, but they had to hustle bustle try and get internet to all these low income families that wouldn't regularly have it or reliable. Is that the same option that they couldn't afford it and something like that happened, or if they just strictly want to do online anyways? For students that are low income, would it work the same way like the telehealth without internet subscription?
So it would have the ability to do that. Let me say that. It would have the ability to do that because every business premise, school district, school building would be all tied into every business resident. Everybody would be connected. And so you wouldn't necessarily need to go out to the World Wide Web to log in. You could have a direct connection to the school district with kids. There could be a portal with that. Now that's going to require some partnerships with the hospitals, the clinics, the school districts, and what level they want to partner, what ability they have to partner. That's something we're going to have to explore. The ability to do it is there. The willingness to participate is something that we would have to discuss. Our initial idea was to try to push out to the entire school district. That was the vision, connect the city of Hermiston School District and the city of Umatilla School District, all the outside areas. But it's just such a high cost to get to those rural areas to provide service. It just meant we would have to rely on such a longer process. So we wanted to build the first part, and if it's successful, look at the second part. But yeah.
So like, I mean, currently, like I work for the Umatilla School District, still currently do, but I work in the IT department for years, and so I ran networking and did all that. So like currently right now, all the school districts that all the school buildings in Umatilla are all connected through dark fiber. So, I mean, we already have connections built in. So like, why would the school district choose to join the open roadway if they're already all linked together? I guess is my question. What would be a benefit that we're providing here that?
Yeah. What's the value of us connecting all the school districts in Umatilla?
Yeah.
I think the value is us connecting the community to the school district. So maybe we don't connect all your buildings. Maybe we just connect to a central building where you can process your ability to connect to every resident in the community for school-age children. So they can log in the same way they would be at their desk in a classroom to log into, the Umatilla School District, their access login information without having to use the World Wide Web. So then you would be in the homes to provide the same service you provide in the classrooms. The same way you provide the same service from one building to another, you would have that same ability to do with the residents' businesses. So, one of our city councilors is the IT manager for the city, for the Hermiston School District. We've had initial conversations, he's curious, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we're gonna do it first before we get too far down and the community gets an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because, that would require, the school district coming from my current understanding, is that we don't host our own website, for example. So it's done by a third party, it's done through Amazon Web Services or whoever. And so they would still need a connection to the internet to reach our school landing page once we have cell phones. Which we used to do back in teens. We haven't done it in 15 years. So it's, one situations where it's like, okay, if we start hosting it again, we can get access to classroom data, like we couldn't access Google Classroom. That would have to go out through the internet service provider, and then we could access Google Classroom. We would have to build our own Google Classroom system internally and then host it through, the roadway which we're talking about, we're probably interconnected, which would be interesting, but it's possible. It's just definitely a conversation that requires a lot more infrastructure than schools are currently have.
Well, just having the potential of it, Umatilla School District's amazing, as well as the Hermiston School District. You get really creative people with an opportunity and a resource. A lot of things can happen. The same with our medical field, same with our community anchor institutions, the same with the county and the cities. We're not going to invest in a process that's going to sit on a shelf. We're going to go down this path. We're going to come back with a model that provides that utilization and community benefit. And that's what works.
And every resident is gonna get the same level of access, and every resident in the, in each respective city, they'll have access to.
Yeah, that's where we're starting. We're starting within the boundaries of both cities. That's the initial approach. Now, everybody's not gonna have access on day one.
Sure.
We're gonna look at the areas of highest need, start there first. I think Dave, city manager.
All right, you can call me Dave. Yeah.
Like a lead old start, but we're also gonna use the data to make that decision. Absolutely.
As long as every resident gets the option of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bruce, do you have any data then?
No.
Okay, we're just making lots of eye contact, and we want to make sure we're on the same.
In this effort to get good data. And then we'll come back to you if you guys participate. I don't want to speak for the council. But we'll come back to you and keep you updated along the pathway. The city of Hermiston made a decision last week, just to tell us to continue working towards this, to come and share that news with you. So you guys are always invited to come say hi on Monday night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Numbers, of their presentation and lots of good information.
And I'm most definitely intrigued,
Okay, council, any further questions at this time? Or
no.
Okay, sounds good. With that, we are looking at, sorry, I guess. Okay, I got the mayor's message real quick. I just want to say, thank you for those in attendance tonight. It's always good to see a kind of a growing crowd of regulars. It's good to see everyone who's been regular for years, if not decades, that really appreciate you still coming and attending and giving public comment. And, we appreciate you guys getting there behind that effort on, especially on a Tuesday. That being said, I look forward to working with the city of Hermiston and actually looking at further agreements and programs. And congratulations to the two businesses where we got grants. That's very exciting. This time we're gonna go ahead and do the council information discussion. We're gonna start down with
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I really don't have too much. It's actually gonna be this evening for us. So focus on community first.
Okay, Councilmember Keating.
I think that's the least amount of words that ever came out of your mouth. We'll be back. I've been gone for a little bit. I'm gonna do respaces and just be out here. Made it out of the house with the baby, taking him to grandma's, but forgot the laptop, but at least I have this trusty thing with the agenda. So at least I got the baby, right? I just appreciate you guys all coming out here and, just being involved in the community. That's what it's all about. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Tensi.
Yeah, thanks everyone for showing up and a lot of events going on. I promise I'll try to make a couple of events this month. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna promise I'm gonna be there, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. But anyway, yeah, thanks for everyone for showing up. And I'm pretty excited about the internet because, you know, like everyone showed interest up here, but it's really spotty in Umatilla. I think we do have some places with fiber, right? In town.
Yeah, we have several areas that have fiber. Some areas have great connectivity, rare disruptions in services and things like that. But as Mayor mentioned, we have other areas like McNary where just the infrastructure is just antiquated and it's going to be quite expensive to invest in things like that. And that's kind of the areas that we've talked about as probably our primary area to look at first, or at least send the contractor to take, or the consultant to look closely at that area first. But yeah, some places are great, some places are just terrible, and everywhere in between. Yeah.
We gotta pay an outrageous amount just to get halfway decent internet that sometimes connects to wireless. Anyway, I'm pretty excited. Just want to say I'm excited. And I guess that's all I got to say. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank everybody for being here. Thank the people that are here that are on the budget committee. Thank staff for working through a not particularly fun time of year. Annual things that we've all gotten used to. I've got a little story if you can indulge me a minute here. Okay. You have your citation book handy?
Yeah, but not on me. Yeah, my car.
So I got to have one myself here a little. I departed City Hall, week and a half ago in the daylight, and in the afternoon, I pulled up to 6th Street to turn left. And lo and behold, I got caught by one of those piles of unbelievable traffic, sit there for at least a few minutes as traffic goes by. And, to get a view of the traffic and to be able to turn left safely, I creep forward into the crosswalk and then maybe a little bit further into the crosswalk and then all the way over the crosswalk to look at it. And of course, while I'm sitting there, people pull up behind me, so I can't do anything. And, a pedestrian show up. Two pedestrians show up. Two nice young Umatilla people that, although they looked at me and, had kind of were perplexed by a truck sitting in the middle of their crosswalk. So, I look at traffic and there's just nothing for me to do. So, get eye contact with the two young girls and, they clear eye contact with them and motion for them to cross the crosswalk, and they do so safely. And I actually got 2 thumbs up. Somebody should. But, I run through that just to, point out there are, if you drive side streets in Umatilla and you either want to cross traffic or you need to turn left, there are places where buildings impact views and cars parked on the street impact views. And I just want to run through this whole thing to get people to think if you're in a vehicle, you do have to watch out. With extra diligence for pedestrians.
That's another reason I would like to see it actually stoplight rather than a roundabout over there to cause a natural break every once in a while through, because it's a nightmare getting across there some days.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I also think that from my experience, roundabouts do help provide it. It is really interesting to travel to allow roundabouts. It oddly enough produces a gap, and it's like, if you go through Deer Park, Washington, at 5 o'clock, you go, God, I'm never gonna make it through this cross street. You go, this roundabout actually is doing exactly what it's designed to do. And there's weird little sections, like I can cross. You go for it. It works. It's magic. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For the most part, it's a weird thing. I don't know.
It won't be better than
I love
that.
It's horrible now.
Yeah.
Horrible. Anything's an improvement.
You get to get this guy.
Yeah, right. Innocent until guilty. All right, at this time, we will be recessing to executive session. Can we get a motion to enter executive session?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we, reconvene, that we recess our regular meeting and reconvene into executive session.
Thank you for the motion. Can I get a second vote, please?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, you guys have it. The city council will meet in executive session, pursuant to ORS 19266. You consider a real property transaction. ORS 19266 to B to consider dismissal or discipline of or hearing complaint or charges brought against the public. Excuse me, public official, officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent who is not requested public hearing. Representatives of the news media and the city manager, city attorney, city manager, Scottsdale, and department directors will be allowed to attend for the executive session. Representatives of the news media, city attorney, members are permitted to attend a second executive session. All the members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report or disclose any deliberations or information discussed during the executive session, except to state the general topic of the session as previously announced. No decision will be made during executive session. At the end of executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back in the room.
We'll see you later. Thank you, Nate. That sounds good.